Hi, I'm Nick Termini with Action Coach in North Kansas City, bringing you the business spotlight. Today, we're here with Darrin. Darrin, could you introduce yourself and tell us about your company?
Yes, my name is Darrin Porch. I am founder and CEO of SafeRise LLC. It's a Kansas City-based company that specializes in niche construction safety products. So I spent a little over 12 years in the elevator industry, commercial elevators, working for companies like Otis and Schindler, selling elevators, escalators to projects here in Kansas City and then throughout the country, and then going in different management positions after that. And during that time, there were requirements on construction projects specific to elevator installations that were very problematic and were causing a lot of friction on projects. And I knew there was a better way to do that. So when I was looking to start my own company and deciding what to do, one, I wanted to focus on things I knew something about. I didn't want to go into a new franchise model or anything like that. I knew there were several of these smaller niche opportunities that were just falling through the cracks. So I did about a year's worth of research on products, looked globally on how things were done in other parts of the world, specifically Europe and Australia, and took ideas from there, developed product, brought it to market, went active about 7 months ago with sales, and we're growing it now, and partnered up with a Canadian company to expand our offering, and we're in development of additional safety products to really meet those niche gaps in the market right now in construction, mainly in mid-rise and high-rise projects. So I spend a lot of time. While I'm based here in Kansas City, this is home. This is where I'm from. I don't have any projects in Kansas City right now. As you can imagine, I'm in a lot of places, specifically Austin, Texas, where they're building a lot of high-rise work, and some other major cities right now. As we grow it, we'll expand kind of what we offer to, and we'll be getting more involved with typical construction projects you'd see in this area of the country of 3 stories to 8-story type buildings. But yeah, so we're getting it going. We're getting a lot of traction, and things are off to a good start, pretty much to how we predicted, but never as fast as you want it to go, right? So,
Yes.
but all arrows are pointing up, and things are going well so far.
That's awesome. And Darrin, so how did you get into this industry in the beginning?
Yeah, so I grew up wanting to sell elevators. No, I did not. No, I'm joking. Yeah, no idea what I wanted to do. So went to college, had no idea what I wanted to do. Got a business degree, graduated, no idea what I wanted to do. Really started getting interest in construction while I was in college, of all things, and buildings. And so after kicking things around for 6 months after college, decided I'm just going to get into that and start at the bottom and learn the business. So did that and worked in the construction industry, residentially and then commercially for about a decade. And then as a lot of things in life that happen in people's careers, I just happened to work with a woman whose husband ran the local Otis elevator office and was a district manager here. And she said, he's looking for a construction salesperson, and you guys should meet because I think you guys would get along really well, and your skill set is kind of what they look for. And 3 days later, I was working for Otis Elevator, and kind of went from there. So, and I love that business, and I miss directly being in that business every day just because of the people. It's great people, challenging industry. There's not a lot of companies that do it, but it is pretty cutthroat and tough. So it was a great place to learn a lot from about business, how business is done, the good and the bad, corporate environment, things you like, things you despise. So yeah, that's how I got in it, and yeah, it was a blessing. The industry was great. The companies, like I said, I worked for Otis and Schindler, two great companies with great people, and learned so much from so many people there that are friends and mentors that I draw upon to this day.
Great. Well, and Darrin, as you know, our company, ActionCOACH in North Kansas City, we like talking about celebrating the wins, right? Like what are great success stories that you have? So, you know, since you've gotten started, what's been a great client success story that you and your team have had?
Yeah, so going after so we went after major construction projects. So the good and the bad with those, like everyone knows in any industry, typically the big jobs are the most competitive, least profitable, and take the longest to do. So, but for the way, because when I talk about what we do, we're really an equipment rental company, and we sell our equipment. So we manufacture a lot, and to manufacture at scale to get good pricing, you need those big jobs. So our model was, and really for what we're doing, the need, as a building gets taller, the need for what we do increases. It becomes more important from a safety aspect. So went after large projects. Our first deal was in Salt Lake City, of all places, which is what we think of when we think high-rise construction. But we landed through my previous company, Schindler. They had been contracted to do the tallest building in Utah. It's a 40-story building in downtown Salt Lake. The team there went to the general contractor and said, you need to look at this stuff. This is the future. This is what you guys should look at using on this project. So they helped me get an audience immediately with them. And after several meetings, we locked down that job. So right out of the gate, we landed a very significant project, which we ended up just delivering this week. Finally, they were a little delayed. You know, that was a huge win for us out of the gate. Kind of validated what we're doing. You're always looking for that. You know, people talk when you start a company, and you do all your research and validation, but people can tell you anything when they don't have to write a check. That's great. We love it. We love to do it. You don't know until people are, you know, the proof's in the pudding, as they say, and when they're cutting, you know, significant checks to buy your product, that's the validation you need. And then you've got to deliver, and you've got to, you know, you have to execute. So we're in the beginning kind of execution stages on our first two large projects, one in Salt Lake, one in Minneapolis. So that was our huge win out of the gate. And then probably aside from the first one, the biggest and best so far is a J-Dunn project. So I have a lot of connections locally, obviously, being from Kansas City with J-Dunn. They actually helped me in the design stages to kind of look at what I was doing and give feedback. So they were great with really supporting the idea and helping me to bring it to market. And we just signed a 50-story job in Austin for not only my product that I was doing, but now my partner that I'm repping's product. So, I mean, we locked in a huge deal to handle really everything that I had to offer to this point is going to be on that job. So really exciting to kind of start pushing and to get in. For us, it's all about getting it out there and getting in with good partners, because we feel in our model, once it's out there, it's gonna catch on and become a standard because it is such a vast improvement on what's typically out there. So yeah, so a couple things that have been exciting.
That is exciting. Well, and so, we work with business owners of all types, right? And, work with them on their path to grow as they grow their business. How have you grown, since you started your company to where you are now? And what do you do to continue to refine yourself to grow to get to where you want to go?
Yeah, so we've been very strategic in our growth. One, because there are capital constraints on what you have starting out, and we have now have a great banking partner locally, Kendall Bank, which has been great in getting me lined up with SBA loan, and then I also had another investor. So they've been great to work with, but it's been strategic. Because as we, until we have a lot of product out there and we continue to get feedback, we feel there are ways to make the product better. We've already done new iterations of it to continually improve it. So probably could have been more aggressive on the selling front in other parts of the country. But we want to be strategic so we could service our customers well and make sure that we were laying the proper groundwork for long-term success. This is a business that I'm setting up for the long term. As a rental type business, it becomes a cash flow business, right? So you're renting this, their first job and a half pays for the equipment, and then on the back end of the life cycle is really where you become profitable. So the key for us is to have that ongoing revenue stream, and to do that, we've got to make sure our customers are satisfied. So we're trying to put the customer at the center of everything we do. And a lot of that comes down to not only the product design, which we're continually asking for input on from our partners, but also the process in which they do business with us and how we deliver product and how we communicate with them. And we're not perfect. It's not all locked down yet. We're getting there. And I think as we grow a little bit more and we can bring a couple more employees on board, will really help that process. And then we've got a growth path. So we've got the product was entered in a contest in New York City, the Department of Buildings there, and won a large contest late last year for safety innovation, and they gave us a lot of publicity up there. But along with that, the product has to be actually approved by the city of New York. So it's one of the few places that has to occur. So we've been going through that process with them, and we're at the end stages of that to be an approved City of New York Department of Buildings product that can be integrated. So as we look to grow, we look at key markets to where our focus is, but then we follow our customers, right? So when you work with these large corporations, even let's take J. Dunn as an example, they're around the 20th largest general contractor in the country. They work through between a third and a half of the United States now. They've really got a big footprint. Some people in Kansas City don't realize that. But they're a heavy hitter in a lot of big growth markets, the Austins, Nashville, Atlanta, Phoenix, Denver. So you get in, build those relationships, and then the use of that product will spread internally within those organizations. And then you follow them to these markets. But so it's being strategic to get the right partners and kind of grow with those partners is the plan. And we want the best general contractors are the ones that pay and recognize safety more than anyone else. So it all goes kind of hand in hand in our growth. A lot of it will be organic, because once you get in with those companies, it's just going to spread throughout there. It's going to be less of having to just go out and call on brand new people all the time. It is winning over advocates within companies and then spreading it through their teams. that way. So there's several mechanisms for us and to go to market. Some of it's using our advocates. So the elevator companies themselves, they don't purchase my equipment. They control what's done though. So they have a lot of influence. So leveraging those influencers and utilizing them to open doors as well is has been hugely valuable, and that's how we're going to continue to grow this company at a smart rate to where we can take care of our customers, and keep growing. So,
All right. Well, and Darrin, so at Action Coach in North Kansas City, we work with leaders to continue to develop leaders within their organization, right? How have you continued to develop yourself as an owner of a company, as a leader, and have you had mentors that have helped you get to where you are now?
oh yeah, 100%. Yeah, people. Yeah, it's all about the people. It's all about the people I've worked with. I in no way would have been ready or had the ability to do what I'm doing now if it wasn't for great people that I've worked with and people that are mentors of mine now. So that goes to, former bosses and coworkers as well. I've worked with some phenomenally talented people, especially on the operations side. I was more of a sales side guy, and when you get into construction, to really lean on some of these operational folks to help educate you on all the minutia that goes into what you're doing. So the older I've gotten, the more I recognize not only my own weaknesses, but the best ways to overcome those weaknesses and how to fill those gaps, right? So we all have to lean on, or the smart people lean on experts, lean on connections to to validate ideas, to help you develop products. I mean, I'm working on 2 new products right now that technically I don't have. Like, I know what the product should do and how it needs to work and the problems that it addresses, but I can't design it. I'm not I'm not an engineer. So leaning on people that I know and I trust to help me develop certain things is hugely important. And then leading on part of my team. I have a fractional CFO that I hired, and because I'm not a finance guy. I'm just not, and I don't. I love doing. I'm great at reading all my financials, but putting them together is not my thing. So
Play your strengths and delegate and find
yeah,
partners,
find partners, find where your gaps are. What's great about our economy now for entrepreneurs is you don't have to hire full-time people out of the gate, right? There are fractional people, there are contract people that you can utilize who are extraordinarily talented that can at very cost competitive rates for what you're looking at and what you need, can fill those gaps for you. So putting that team around you, whether they're contracted individuals, whether they're your mentors, whether they're your friends who are great in business, what I was very cognizant of and mindful of was, before I did anything, was to write down a team of people, write down my needs, and then put a list of people together that I knew that could help in all of those areas. Finance was one, legal's one, get a good lawyer, talk to real successful business people, talk to people in your industry, and put together a list of those people. And those are the people I rely on to this day. So
that's awesome.
Yeah.
And Darrin, so last question, and this is kind of a fun one. If you could look back and tell your 21-year-old self any advice, what would it be?
Oh my God.
And remember, this is a family.
It's a long list. Slow down and be humble. I started business in my 20s and I failed. I wasn't ready to do it. And it failed for a lot of different, in hindsight, for a lot of different reasons. It would have been to broaden your knowledge, go into and work for people. The things I did in my 30s and early 40s is what I should have done starting in my 20s.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I had to learn the hard way, to find my path, to figure it out. I would have, and I'm not, I would have gone and got my MBA. And I'm not a huge formal education guy, but there are advantages to it. There are things you are going to learn for sure, to fill in some of those gaps. I've taken a lot of courses. I've taken some exec ed courses. I always laugh, and my mom hates to hear it, but my company sent me to Northwestern for a week for an executive ed class one time, and I came home and had dinner with her, and she goes, "Well, how was that?" And I said, "You don't want to know." Was it bad? I said, "No." I said, "I learned more in those 4.5 days than I learned in 4 years of private, business school, undergrad." And she's like, "I don't want to hear that."
Yeah.
And
100%.
so it's really patience. It's really, for me, it was getting humbled a little bit, and taking your time, and being really mindful and thoughtful of the process that you need to follow. You can't just dive into things, especially in business, because you're going to miss too many things and it's going to kill you. And that's what happened to me. So, telling my 20-year-old self, it would have been to put your head down, do the work, do the hard work, continue to educate yourself and better yourself, read a lot, study people that have been successful, what they're doing. I mean, I do that now all the time. I listen to podcasts on successful business people, a lot of biographies, to learn. And it's astounding what you can learn, and then really work to apply those lessons, to be successful. So, God, that's just part of a very long list I could go into.
Well, thank you for sharing that. I think
And
that's
my wife
great.
would like to add many others too.
No, I mean, that's great for, the community that we're reaching out to hear as business owners, because it's not easy, and it's not always successful at first. So, your story is a great example of, just because it doesn't work the first time doesn't mean you don't keep working at it and getting better, and that you can't be successful in your own adventure later. So I think that's an incredibly encouraging story for, newer and, business owners that have been at it for a while, is, just keep going at it, be humble, be patient, and build your team like you've talked about throughout this. And, I think this has been a great message for our business owner community, and really appreciate having you on.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I appreciate it. It was great talking with y'all.
Awesome. Thank you, Darrin.